Hello everyone and welcome to another art lesson with me, Mr. Richardson. Now this week's art activity is pretty special because it is book week here in Australia. So we are going to be celebrating all of the things that we love about storybooks and the other books, novels that we might read in our lives to keep us entertained. So I have chosen a shortlisted book this week called Norton and the Bear. And it's a story about how Norton is very fashionable and loves his clothes, and then there's a bear that loves his outfits too, so therefore he wants to copy everything that Norton wears. So we're going to be making an art piece today based on Norton and the Bear. So what you'll need today is a piece of white paper, a grey lead pencil, scissors and a glue stick. You have the option to use any sorts of paper you wish. It can be leftover wrapping paper, it can be packaging from a cereal box or something like that. I'm using some Christmas paper today, but if you don't have any paper at home, you can just simply colour it in. And lastly, things to colour with. I'm going to be using oil pastels today, but if you've got textile colour pencils, you can use those too. All right, grab your stuff and let's get started. Okay, so we need to set up our page first of all of how we're going to draw Norton and the bear. So one character is quite large and the other is fairly small because it's a bear and a dog. So to start off with, I'm going to draw kind of a hill to begin with. So I've left a gap in the middle. And I'm going to put a little bit of a dip underneath here. And then I'm going to do another, it's a bit like a box. And then around here for the bear's ears, and then another small hill on top. Now over here, I'm going to start to draw Norton. So he's a lot smaller, so he's going to be sitting down here. Similar deal, only it's going to be a lot skinnier. So very tall, skinny hill. And then kind of a box on top. Now they're my basic shapes of Norton and the bear. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but I promise you it will later on. Okay. So the next part is you need to get whatever you're going to colour with, so your textures, your pencils, or for me, I'm using my oil pastel. If you've got crayons, you can use those too. Now, first of all, I'm going to outline the bear's head with my oil pastel. So the lines that I just drew, I'm going to go over. Now for his face, I've got two little eyebrows and then some eyes, some little dots here, triangle nose, I'm gonna colour that in, and then sort of a V shape there, and a mouth, and kind of like the smile lines there. And if you want to add extra pops of colour, I can do the inside of his mouth and shade around. This is probably the important part because that's part of his nose and mouth, how it's all his snout for the bear. So I just shade lightly with the colour here. So I'm using grey. And I'll do a little bit of grey inside of the bear's ears here. Cool. I might add a little bit of shading down the bottom just to make him look a little bit more realistic. And there we go. There is the bear. Now for Norton, you need mostly black for this one. So we're going to do similar to what we did for the bear. Some eyebrows, the surprised eyes. Some eyes here. A round nose. I'm just going to colour in a little bit of it so it's got a little bit of a shine spot there. And then this is where you can kind of go crazy because he's a shaggy dog. He's got the fur there, and you can continue all around the side. It's like these zigzaggy lines, and he's got these big ears. So Norton is very surprised at the bear copying his outfit. So his ears are standing up. And that is how easy you can draw Norton. Now, what you can do with their outfits, you can colour them in. So I'm just going to do what's in the book, and I'll put a stripe across both of their jumpers here. And they've got diamonds, so you can put whatever patterns you want. You can get creative with whatever type of jumper you want Norton and the bear to wear. So you can make up your own design. You can have stars, you can have love hearts all over the jumper. And then I'm going to outline around the outside to make it stand out. So the thing about oil pastels is the harder you press, the more solid the colour is going to be. And then I'll just lightly shade it in, so I'm not pressing as hard. So I don't want it to be as dark as the rest of the colour. I'll make the outlines pop out. So for big areas like this, you can do big back and forth strokes. But of course, if you're getting into little areas like this corner here, you just do little sections. And then once you've got more open space, you can go a little bit bigger. Just make sure you keep inside those outlines that you've done there. Almost done. Both wearing the same diamond pattern jumper because Bear loves what Norton is wearing. And then I'm going to add these lines here because that's where their arms are by their sides. Cool, well they're wearing the same jumper at the moment. And what's the wrapping paper for? Well, whatever paper you have got, so be resourceful, whatever you can find, or of course you can draw it in if you haven't got any scrap paper, is we are going to be creating the fashionable scarf that they wore in the story as well. So I just cut a little scrap of my wrapping paper. I don't need too much of it. And I cut a small rectangle for Norton. And I'm going to just curve it around with my scissors so it looks a bit like a U shape that's filled in. And then I'm gonna cut the inside of my U shape. Now, if you wanna get fancy with your scarf, you can make it all tassely like my scarf is. You can do something what's called a fringe cut. And just do little careful cuts at the end. And then find that it's a little bit big, you can give it a little bit of a trim, make it even skinnier. Just to make sure that it doesn't cover up too much of Norton. So mine's turned into more of a V shape, but that's okay. And then you can glue it on. And the thing about oil pastels is they're very smudgy. You can see that there's a few little smudges on my page. So be very careful not to touch the colouring in on the page too much, because I don't want to smudge all over the page. Okay, so there's Norton's scarf. Now, of course, the bear's scarf is going to be a lot longer. So I'm just going to measure here, use my pencil. And I can see the line here, so I'm going to just draw that. So I know roughly the size and that I have to cut along the lines there to make sure that he's got the right size scarf. They want to be matching, of course. This bear wants to wear everything that Norton has. He loves his sense of fashion. Alright, so I've kind of got, it looks a bit like a sausage shape. So I've got that section there, and that's a start. It's not quite as long as the Norton scarf yet, but I'm going to add a little bit more on. So I'm going to use my scraps to finish it off. So I'm going to join it on. And of course I'll do my fringe cut for the tassels at the end. And then I'm going to join it on. So it looks like it's a one long scarf. If you want to get fancy, you can flick up those tassels to make it look like they're fluttering in the wind. And there you have the picture of Norton and the bear wearing their matching outfits. I thought I'd better join in too and wear my red jumper and the scarf as well. Not quite matching, but hey, close enough. Have fun with this activity for Book Week. I hope you got to have a chance to dress up for any of your favourite book characters, and I can't wait to see what art creations you have made. Until next time, bye for now.